So we've got some new Whizbang's Workshop Rogue cards to talk about. Looks like Pirate Rogue is going to be a thing, maybe. And Sonya Shadow Dancer is back. We got a reference to Quest Rogue. Oh, no. Let's kick it off, though, here with Shoplifter Goldbeard. This is a new 6-mana 5/5 pirate. And he reads, after you summon a pirate, summon a copy of it that attacks a random enemy and then dies. So if you do manage to get this down and then play a bunch of pirates behind it after that, you could be getting a bunch of extra bodies that are all even launching themselves face. This is a random enemy, not an enemy minion. So at some point, if the opponent's board becomes empty or starts empty, then this can be just a lot of like face damage. Just basically reading, give it all your pirates charge. They will die afterwards, but that's fine. You don't mind getting a little extra bonus damage in that case. Now, I mean, that's scary in theory, right? But the big headache here is that Goldbeard himself costs 6. So you've got this enormous upfront cost to get this going. So if you want to play any like big pirates at all, or summon some meaningfully sized pirates, that's typically going to have an accompanying cost that makes it really difficult or even impossible to do alongside your Goldbeard. And even if you play like small stuff alongside Goldbeard, it's still going to add up to so much mana so quickly. Like, play a 1-drop with this, okay, you're already at 7. Play a 2-drop, you're at either 8 or 9 if you already played that 1-drop, and you're just like running out of mana so rapidly that I just don't know if you're gonna be able to get enough big bodies out of this to really make it feel worth it. Just getting like a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, whatever little combination thereof to attack face, or often just kind of throw themselves haplessly into your opponent's board, isn't really going to feel all that significant or good, I think, especially at the cost of this 5/5. And keeping Goldbeard behind for like a future turn is going to be almost impossible. It's only a 5/5. Like, yes, you can shadow step, you can do bounce stuff, you could try to do stealth stuff to get a second turn out of this, or to kind of just invest in the future. That does open up more opportunity, but shadow step only goes so far at 2 mana, and then you also probably just spent like a whole turn not really doing much of anything, or very little efficiently anyway. That, I don't know, man, that just feels like a lot of overhead and a lot of work and a lot of different moving pieces for, a payoff that's sometimes just an awkward, bad math, bad board clear with some occasional like chippy face damage. And that just doesn't feel like a recipe for success for me. I just don't see that coming together. It just seems slow and clunky and awkward because this has such a significantly high upfront cost. You're gonna just need to do a lot of work to make this card feel meaningful, I think. Now, that said, there is a little bit of help with some cards that can kind of accelerate the pirate summoning a little bit, or bank some of that mana cost that we're gonna see here in the set. Really kind of 1.5 though. This is Water Cannon. This is a 4-mana 3/3 weapon, and it reads, after your hero attacks, summon a 1/1 pirate that attacks a random enemy. So this is a way to like front load a pirate summoning. You play this first, and then this is kind of ready to go on your Goldbeard turn or whatever. But it's just a bonus 1/1, and I don't think that goes very far. This importantly is summon, not play, so it will work. It's just a 1/1 though, so it just doesn't really add all that much extra or oomph. So maybe not really that much of a Goldbeard enabler. Now, that said, separately, I think this weapon's okay. The 3/3 here is just a number of stats. That's 9 total damage baked into this, and the 1/1s could actually also contribute to a little bit of bonus damage as well. The downside with these 1/1s is if you're attacking and your opponent does have minions on board, there's a pretty good chance the pirates are going to attack into a random enemy, and that 1/1 damage is probably not going to be a meaningful change to any given breakpoints or whatever, right? If there's like 2 3/3s on board, you can maybe like hit one, and then your 1/1 just runs into a 3/3, and it's a 3/2, and it's like, okay, well, that didn't really change anything. You know, the same kinds of removals probably going to deal with this, and I'm going to have to hit that with a weapon anyway next turn, and I kind of just lost a 1/1. So you're not really going to feel like you get a minion that's meaningful all that often. I mean, yes, if it hits something with 1 health, okay, perfect. Or if it hits face, you actually do get the minion on board, which could have a nice little bonus. So, you know, in essence, this isn't really so much of a board builder much of the time. Now, that said, we're going to see some other enablers for summoning pirates. I'll just show you this one here. The Toy Boat. This is a 2-mana 2/3. After you summon a pirate, draw a card. So with this down on board and your weapon equipped, suddenly that makes a lot more sense. So even if your 1/1 does throw itself away lifelessly into a bad trade, you're still going to be able to get a benefit out of drawing a card, because again, this is a summon based trigger, so this adds a little bit of additional upside. And this is the kind of card that starts to give me hope for Pirate Rogue as a successful archetype. I don't actually see it with Goldbeard. That doesn't really feel like the right kind of big payoff, but this more swarmy, aggro-y sort of stuff that's just drawing through a bunch of cards, that looks more interesting to me. That actually looks a little bit more promising to me. So next up here, let's talk about the Sandbox Scoundrel. Much like the Water Cannon, this could be maybe an enabler for Goldbeard, although still not totally convinced. It's a 4/3 pirate with Miniaturize and Battlecry. Your next card this turn costs 3 less, which kind of makes this look a bit like a 2-cost 4/3. Just one that, of course, you have to start playing at turn 5 or later. You can't get this down super early. But once you do, you get a nice little mini here. Of course, 1 mana, 1/1, Battlecry. Your next card this turn costs 3 less, which that one's actually pretty nice, right? Because that allows you to cheat quite a bit of stuff starting from a small mana cost. So in essence, you know, if you bank a couple Sandbox Scoundrels for a Goldbeard turn, you know, you could go like 6, 7 mana for the mini. That allows you to cheat kind of 3, right? So then you're up to like 10 mana spent. You play another mini. That's really 8 mana spent. So you can do this on turn 8, and then you kind of cheat up to like 14 total mana spent, or 8 mana after your Goldbeard, which does start to add more threats and more bodies. I still think it takes a lot of setup, though, because you got to play like 2 Sandbox Scoundrels, which I don't think are by any means like bad plays necessarily, and there will be rewarding ways to use those with that mana cheat, getting something down for free in essence, or you know, heavily discounted, whatever it is. There's definitely some lines there, but at the same time, you're still just kind of throwing a lot of potentially very small bodies, 3-drops and 1-drops and 1/1s into your opponent's board very often, and taking awkward, you know, inefficient trades, a little bit of face damage here and there. I just wonder if there are going to be better ways to use these discounts. Like, I actually like this card again better than Goldbeard. I think relying on that as your payoff might just be too much. Maybe it's just a backup plan as much as anything, just because it kind of fits, and you're just using these to cheat mana in a more compelling way, which might be better overall, because these are some pretty nice mana cheat cards on the back half especially. So another Pirate Rogue card we have here is Dig for Treasure. This is 1 mana spell, draw a minion. If it's a pirate, get a coin. And yeah, this just kind of looks like a good card, right? Just cheap, efficient tutoring here for a minion. Specifically, if you run this in a pirate deck, as you're going to want to do, getting that coin back means you're kind of getting the Dig for Treasure for free, and you're also able to bank that coin into a future turn. We could also maybe see some kind of like Wishing Well pirate combo deck of sorts, and we're going to take another look at this in this video at a new legendary that could support Wishing Well Rogue also. So maybe there's some kind of fusing here, but ultimately this just looks good, clean, efficient, great little card draw tool for Pirate Rogue. Oh, we also got to talk about the Bargain Bin Buccaneer. This is a 3-cost 3/2 with Rush and combo. Summon a copy of this. So really good little early game tempo swing sort of card. Take some great trades on your opponent's stuff. That combo can be a little bit difficult to activate on curve because you kind of need a 0-cost card for it. But you know, even playing this on turn 4, I think it'll still very often feel like it's taking some relevant trades, and it has all those upsides with the toy boat. This could be the 0 cost thing you play alongside your miniaturized pirate in a Goldbeard turn, which is like 4 total bodies, because you get you know, the 2 bodies off the Buccaneer combo, and then the 2 bonus copies off the Goldbeard, which does start to create some board space problems as well for Goldbeard, which I didn't even think about. That's maybe another hesitation for some of these. If you're playing a lot of small stuff, you're going to run out of board space. Like, yes, the newly summoned ones do kill themselves off, but you still have like little miniaturized guys and Buccaneers like stacking up. I wonder if you run out of board space for the newly summoned stuff at the end of that chain. I don't know. Maybe. But I do still like this card. I do like this as the kind of tempo pirate stuff. So the morals of the story for these cards is I actually really like this pirate package a lot. I think this set of the early to mid game cards looks pretty good. I'm just not sold on Goldbeard himself. Maybe I'm hating on this too much. I don't know. He doesn't feel like the right kind of payoff for me. The randomness feels bad. The cost up front feels bad, and I just think I'd rather do other things maybe, because this looks pretty cool. So moving on, let's talk about the rest of this set here. We got Sonya Water Dancer. Sonya's back. She's 4 mana 3/3. After you play a 1-cost card, get a copy of it that costs 0. So another kind of upfront cost sort of thing here. Clearly this has some ties to minis. And I will say some of the minis have such good payoffs that as you can see with Sonya and like Sandbox Scoundrel already, right? Like you play some minis, you get some discounts, you could have some monster pop-off turns with Sonya Water Dancer here, which by the way, already kind of like I'm seeing better payoffs for the minis than the top end of that pirate line. But I think more importantly, like we teased, Wishing Well is a synergy here that's kind of been a fringe meta possibility, and this could definitely signal the return of some sort of Wishing Well deck as well. Because if you're getting 1-cost legendaries, getting bonus copies that cost 0 is sort of nuts. It's just going to be about getting all that down kind of at once, because the Wishing Well, you know, you can keep the legendaries in hand, I guess, and save them up for the Sonya turn, but you still need quite a bit of mana to play Sonya, plus multiple 1-cost cards. So you're talking about turn 6, turn 7, turn 8 sort of range for this sort of payoff, which is getting late, but the swing potential is so high, and the kind of craziness potential is so high with some legendaries that exist in the pool that might still be fine and might still feel like a fine way to set up for a big payoff. Although, you know, this is a one-off, so sometimes might be hard to find it on time. But nonetheless, I think anytime you got stuff that costs 0, shenanigans can abound. It's sort of scary, and I think that makes Sonya an intriguing build-around card at worst, and potentially kind of scary good at best. So next up we have the Crystal Cove, a reference, of course, to stupid Quest Rogue of old. This is a 3-mana location. The next minion you summon this turn has its stats set to 4/4, which, you know, is kind of like a 3/3 buff if you look at it, if you squint at this, because most minions are generally going to be at least 1/1, although of course some minions are going to be worse. Now this is actually another potential way to support Goldbeard, because if you've got like these 1/1s coming off your water cannon, you know, you can have the location down first, you can hit the button, the 1/1 becomes a 4/4, which makes it a little bit better off Goldbeard. That said, you know, board space occupied once again, potentially, if this is not your third durability at least, and even more setup and even more delays and even more time baked into these turns that don't really make sense. Not to mention, I don't know, man, this just feels like clunky to me. Like turn 3 is such a key turn, you may not want to give up in a deck that cares about early stats and early tempo, which it probably does if you're trying to get 1/1s turned into 4/4s or whatever. So like, yeah, this has some cool like mini synergies and stuff. I understand the logic behind this. And yes, technically like 9/9 total bonus stats is a lot for 3 mana. It's just that it's so delayed and takes so long to really realize all those stats that the second and third hits on this from a durability standpoint are going to be coming down pretty late. I don't know, man. It just doesn't feel worth it to me. The setup feels like too big of a commitment. Also, sometimes you're just not going to have things you really want to use for Crystal Cove because you don't have a 1/1. You want to play a 4/4 this turn anyway, and it just sits there dead on board even longer. So to me, this just looks clunky and awkward and kind of expensive to get things moving. Next up is Everything Must Go, an 8-mana spell. Summons you 2 random 4-cost minions. They cost 1 less for each card that you've drawn this turn, which we know Rogue can do some pretty silly stuff sometimes with card draw, cycling, miracle sort of things. And this could theoretically be a 0 cost, summon 2 random 4 cost minions, which that's sufficient. Obviously, you know, the cheaper this gets, the better it feels. I will say 2 random 4 cost minions, kind of a shaky pool sometimes. There's a lot of that 4 cost stuff that is like a 3/3 with some kind of battle cry or really specific synergy that's not going to feel particularly relevant when summoned randomly on board. So your average stat results on this, probably like 3/3s, and the high roll potential for like crazy effects, minimal at best for 4 drops. Usually they don't have like game changing sort of effects or anything. So you don't expect home runs out of this. Like, in other words, you know, you might say, oh, hey, 2 random 4 costs, that's worth 8 mana. Any discount makes this insane. I don't think so. I think this needs to be like 4 mana to actually feel like a really big, good kind of play. 3 mana, 2 mana, where it starts to actually look pretty interesting from just an output and efficiency standpoint compared to some other mid-game ways to summon minions that we have in Hearthstone. So you got to draw quite a bit to make this look good, I think. In other words, you know, ripping this for 7, which it basically is always 7 because you always start a turn drawing your card, isn't going to feel very good. I think you got to get it significantly discounted. And my question is, for a deck that's able to draw so successfully and do so much card draw and miracle-y type stuff, is this going to be the payoff that you want? Is this going to be a win condition sort of enough? You know, maybe it's just like a little piece of the puzzle along the way, a little bonus board or whatever. That's definitely a possibility, but I don't know. It just doesn't sing to me. I think it takes a lot of work to get this to feel just okay. And sometimes it's going to just still low roll and feel awkward, even when it's, you know, played near its best rate. And then finally here we have the Thistle Tea set. This is a 2-mana spell. Allows you to discover a spell from another class and then get a copy of it. So 2 mana, get 2 spells from other classes, and you get to pick them too, which is actually pretty nice. This does give me vibes of some of the rogue thief stuff that we've seen driving some rogue meta decks in the past. You know, I don't know if we're gonna, you know, have quite the same thief rogue package without the 4-drop cheating out crazy big spells. This is, you know, a little bit more honest, a little bit more straightforward so far, but nonetheless, it's a pretty cool little value piece that gives you access to things you might not otherwise have. Could be really surprising for the opponent. I like that this has choice baked into it, and, you know, just getting 2 resources for 2 cost also feels cool. So I don't know, this looks like a good little thief rogue enabler, which may not be good immediately, but definitely something to keep in your back pocket for later in case that archetype or package gets additional support. This does feel like it would be a good card for it. All right, so now let's do some quick reviews. Shoplifter Goldbeard is a 3-star card. Water Cannon is a 4-star card. Bargain Bin Buccaneer is a 4-star card. Sandbox Scoundrel is a 4-star card. Dig for Treasure is a 4-star card. Toy Boat is a 4-star card. Sonya Water Dancer is a 4-star card. Crystal Cove is a 2-star card. Everything Must Go is a 2-star card. Thistle Tea set is a 3-star card. Yeah, there you go. That is the Rogue set. I'm curious how all this pieces together. It's, I don't know. I actually ended up rating the pirate stuff pretty well. I thought I was going to be light on Rogue, but I like this early game pirate package. Looks kind of scary, especially in a 4-set meta. Some of these faster, just like more honest minion type decks can really succeed right after rotation because they just have a lot of consistency. You just play pirates and you do your thing, and you know, other decks don't have quite as crazy output. I do think Goldbeard will be in the deck just because, you know, you'll need pirates and he makes sense, but like I teased much throughout the review there, I don't know that he's going to feel that great a lot of the time. I think he's going to feel kind of clunky and dead at hand, and you'll probably eventually play him because you don't have anything else to do. But I don't know if you're going to be super excited about it. It's going to be weird setting up turns maybe for this one. So anyway, that's my Rogue review. Let me know what you think. Do you like these cards or not? Share your thoughts down below. But until then, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, game on.